Okay, YouTube, this is my latest purchase. I was looking for a small 22 caliber handgun, semi-automatic as opposed to a revolver. And there was a gun show recently, and I was there, and I noticed the prices were coming down, which is always a good thing. And I saw this one, and I had seen them before, and I finally decided to go ahead and purchase one for the price. And after uh, background check and the purchase of the firearm filling out paperwork took about less than 4 minutes, actually, from the time I finished writing the paper. Time she punched in the information to the CBI, and approval was about 3 to 4 minutes. So it was a pretty good, pretty quick sale. So here's what we got. We got the Phoenix Arms, which is a company out of California, and I have the HP22A. It's not this version, but it's a short barrel version. So what comes in the box, of course, you just saw the instruction manuals, standard lock, and the pistol itself. So this is the HP22A. Now, there's a lot of videos, of course, if you could find those. What I'm going to be doing tonight is, with this particular firearm, it's kind of tricky. I don't know if it's because it's made in California, but there is the safeties are a little peculiar as far as you can't drop the magazine with the pistol on fire. I've had this for a couple days, so I've made a couple of slight modifications to it. Up here you have a firing pin block right here, and you can put the weapon so the hammer doesn't strike the firing pin, and if it's up showing red, which I highlighted it with a little bit of automotive model paint, made it a little bit easier to see. I put a little red in there, so it's ready to fire. And also the fire and safe switch. In this position, you can see it's a little bit bright red for fire, and when you flick it up, it's white for safe. So the only way you can remove the magazine is if you place it on safe, then you can remove the magazine. Now, you can't place the weapon on fire and charge it without the magazine. That's kind of odd. So you have to reinsert on safe, press the weapon. Press the switch, which also doubles as your slide stop. Kind of odd. We won't get into the takedown of this weapon. It's very simple. You just pull this forward, barrel pops off, slide releases, so it's not too complicated. But what I want to do is I want to do the modification to the safety and the switch here to release the magazine in safe or fire. Another little paint job application I put in was I highlighted the front post sight with white paint to make it stand out a little bit more. All right, it was just regular black, so I have basically paint apps right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the covers and the grip covers, and then we're going to go ahead and do this modification that I've already done a little research on. So what you want to do is try to drop the magazine, okay, and then see the weapon will stay. You can't move this, and we'll show you why here in a few minutes. Okay, the peculiar thing about this firearm is it's a nice little pistol. I really like it. For the price, it was great, but it's the safety and the magazine release that's really a pain in the ass. What we're going to do here is we're going to do the modification that allows you to remove the magazine, whether it's in safe or fire, like most standard handguns, so you can go ahead and properly clear the weapon. Because once again, if you fire a shot, you still have a round in the chamber, and you try to remove the magazine, you're not going to be able to do it. So now here you are stuck with a round in the chamber and the magazine out, because you have to put the weapon on safe and you can't charge it back. So it's kind of complicated. So what we're going to do is what I've done here is I've already scored, you see this little silver line, that will remove this piece of metal, which we're going to go ahead and just file down. And a little spring right here that holds it in place. And this piece right here, we're going to go ahead and modify that by bending it outwards, which will give us the ability to place the weapon on safe or fire and drop the magazine. So let's go ahead and let me do the modifications and take that piece of metal off. Okay, so this piece, it just pops out. Comes off very simple. And this is what we're left with. And what we're going to do is go ahead and right on this score line right here where I made, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that sheet metal. I'm going to take it up to the disc sander, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. This piece right here, what it does is it slides underneath the magazine release and prevents it from going all the way down. So what we have is a button that will not be blocked. So let's go ahead and take care of that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so in a matter of seconds, I was able to just go ahead and take it on the disc sander and go ahead and remove that excess piece of metal, which blocks the magazine release from operating. So what we'll go ahead and do is insert this piece back in here. We'll go ahead and put the spring that provides tension. And now what we have is the magazine that can be released in the safe position, all right, and in the fire position, all right, in order to clear it properly when you remove the magazine. You know, the first step for handguns is when you want to clear is always place the weapon on safe, then remove the source of ammunition and go ahead and clear it. So that still allows us, okay, that little pressure right there. Well, pieces don't want to work with the. There we go. Okay, so now you place the weapon on fire, and then you can go ahead and clear it. Okay, from there. You always want to attempt to do it on safe, but with this particular model, it prevents it. It's kind of odd, but you know, you can go ahead, place the weapon after you finish firing, drop the magazine, and then you can go ahead and charge it and check to make sure it's clear. With that little piece of metal blocking, that prevents the magazine from coming out in the fire position. So another modification for the magazine to drop free is this little spring right here. The spring is a pain in the butt. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend that so it's out of the way. It catches the magazine. It prevents it from dropping free. And also when you insert the magazine, it goes to a certain point where you have to either squeeze very hard or slap it. The only way to get it in easily is to press the magazine release, and it will slide in with no problem. So we're going to go ahead and remedy that by bending this piece of metal out of the way. What you don't want to do is these pieces right here are staked in. If you remove this piece, it supposedly voids the warranty, and I believe this is the one piece that you cannot order from the site. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend these pieces up, and going to bend this up, and let's see, we're going to have to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and bend it. I'm going to need a hammer and another screwdriver to bend that piece up. And when you put the cover back on, everything will go back into place and you won't be able to see it. And that'll aid with the eject and reinsertion of the magazine. Okay, with a little handiwork of bending this portion right here, we now have a magazine that will drop free. Much better than what it was before. So that aids in having to, you know, drop the magazine and pull it out manually. It'll drop free into your palm. So that's a good plus right there when you want to clear the firearm. So let's go ahead and put this back together and make sure everything functions the way it's supposed to. Okay, so with our modifications complete, I did lift up that one metal plate that we had bent, and I did a little filing. If you lift it up, you'll see that it's kind of a triangle shape, and what that does, what that will prevent, and what it does is causes this little scrape in here. That little triangular edge right there will prevent the magazine from dropping free. So I did a little bit of filing. All I did was lift it up with a screwdriver and just took a small file to it and just filed it away. It wasn't that complicated. So now what we have is the weapon can be placed on safe without a magazine in it. It can be placed on fire. Okay. What we have here is some dummy ammunition. Go ahead and insert that. So now we have a magazine that will drop free in fire. Okay, and then we have, it will drop free in safe. So in the event that you need to clear it, okay, place the weapon on safe, drop the magazine, and we could go ahead and place it on fire and it'll go back. Once again, remember, this doubles as your slide stop. So when the weapon is on safe, you won't be able to charge it back. Okay, you have to place it on some fire and go ahead and clear it. So let's go ahead and chamber a round and see how that works out. Okay. Okay, we have one loaded in there. And we have finished firing the weapon. Remember, never fire 22 rim fire. Alright, so we're going to let the hammer fall. Okay, we finished firing. Of course, the hammer is going to be back. We're going to place weapon on safe. Drop the magazine free. Place it on fire because we have already stopped our slide. Place it back. And we'll be able to eject and clear. So, what I got for the money that I paid for it is a nice little 22. I'm pretty satisfied with it. It fits my hand well. Okay, I'm not going to squeeze that trigger. It's got the additional safety for the firing pin block. Okay, we made the modification, so now we can remove the magazine. You know, I don't know if it's just a California thing. So we're going to be taking this to the range pretty soon. We'll go ahead and see how it fires, and then I'll review it from there. All right, let's get to the range. Okay, so we got the pistol out here in the range, as you can see. I finished shooting this morning. I went out to Cheyenne Mountain Shooting Complex. Took some variety of rounds for it, starting with the Ely 22 ammo. If you could see here, that was the first round I inserted and I had a little trouble. Right here, let me get it back in focus. But the pistols fired every single round. Didn't need any special handling. It just took everything I put in there, from Federal, Remington, Golden bullets, hollow point, even a couple of high velocities in there. So I mean, that was pretty good. Getting used to the fit and feel of it. It's like a really small Makarov, if you're familiar with those pistols. Got a lot of hand covering it. That's just used to shooting full-size, mid-size pistols. Other than that, everything worked great. Let's go ahead and see some of the rounds being fired.
Clicks. Alright, now go right 15. No, look at your thing, it'll tell. Right 15. Okay.
So by now, I've already fired about 100 rounds, about 50 rounds of the Ely standard velocity, variety of Federal, Remington, as I said before, the high velocity. It fired every single one. I did not have a failure to fire. Right here, I'm using the hammer block, and it worked as it's supposed to. I would keep that off. This is an additional safety you don't need to worry about having to undo. And it works great, you can see here. So I continue to fire a few different rounds of ammo, and nothing jammed, no stovepipes, no failure to feed, fire, eject, with the exception of that one first round when I slid the slide forward and it didn't go in. I don't know what that was about. That was the first round. Other than that, it worked great. If you're looking for a cheap 22 range pistol, this is the one for the price. Works great with the modifications. Check it out. Just a sample of some of the shots. This was at 7 yards. Fairly accurate. Pretty good pistol. But I would recommend buying one if you found one. Thanks for watching.